Hey, today we're going to talk about anxiety in children with disabilities. We're going to go through this in about 3 steps. The first step is going to be identifying what some of the signs and symptoms are of a child who might be having some anxiety or possibly a panic attack. We're going to talk about how to deal with it in the moment. And we're going to talk about some things you can put in place to maybe prevent this from happening or to help a child get through it themselves independently. Anxiety looks different in everybody, but typically grown-ups can identify it. Children, especially with language delays, really can't verbally communicate exactly what that feeling is. So it might sound or look a little different than it would from a grown-up. So stay tuned. We're going to go through it all. So anxiety is pretty common in children with disabilities, and children with and without disabilities often present the same signs and symptoms. The difference is typically due to low or underdeveloped language skills that a lot of children with disabilities display. They have a hard time verbalizing those feelings of nervousness. And since they can't express those emotions verbally, anxiety is probably going to present itself physically. So that's when you're going to get my tummy hurts or my head hurts, I'm sick. They might actually get sweaty and pale. They might actually throw up. I know I feel sick to my stomach whenever I am anxious, but the difference is they just can't explain that they're not sick. It's actually they're very worried. Often kids go into fight or flight mode too when the anxiety is building. That's your refusal, you're crying, you're clinging, not even being able to speak, just your general meltdowns. Those all could be a sign or symptom of anxiety. So those are the things to be looking for as far as symptoms go when your child might be really struggling with feelings of anxiousness. Now, definitely take your child seriously if they do say they're feeling ill. But if in your gut you don't think they're sick, you're their parent or you're their teacher, you probably know them very well. Ask them probing questions, because that day that their stomach's hurting and they can't go to school, they might actually have a test that they've been worrying about for 2 weeks. Or when they're crying the whole way to school, they don't want to go to first period. Instead of saying, there's a kid that's been bullying me in first period for a month, they might cry and, they might melt down. So you're the parent or the teacher, you know the kid best. Just, use your best judgment and definitely ask those probing questions to make sure it's not an actual illness and, see if it really is anxiety. Next, we're going to talk about dealing with your child's anxiety in the moment that it's happening. So whether it's presenting itself as a meltdown or a refusal, let's talk about a few things that you can do to help your child as they are experiencing these feelings. So number 1, listen. Just listen to the child. Let them express whatever emotion or physical symptom they may be experiencing. Okay? Just let them get it all out. The next thing, once you've gauged the situation and you've decided that your child is not ill, that they're just very anxious about something, validate those feelings. Tell them it is okay to feel nervous sometimes. Everyone experiences strong emotions when they're scared or they don't want to do something. That is okay, and it is not a bad or weird thing. Everyone deals with these emotions at some point in time. And the last thing you can do, give them a minute, let them calm down. Whatever you need to do, sensory or music or, deep pressure exercises or whatever you need to do, give them a minute to get it together before you start pushing, to get them to do what they need to be doing. Okay? Because if they're in the middle of a meltdown, you are wasting your breath and your energy. Let them be. From a teacher standpoint, I am a master of distraction, and I found that to be quite effective. So if your student is in the middle of an anxiety attack or in the middle of a meltdown due to something they're anxious about, distract them. Give them a job. It's almost like giving them a second to take a break. But by giving them a job, you're taking their mind off, what is causing the anxiety or the pain. This doesn't work every time, but for smaller things, it is an effective strategy to do, distract them. So how can we prevent and or help a child manage their own anxiety? So the first thing I would highly recommend would be implementing some sort of emotional index or feelings thermometer. So this would be like a scale of like 1 to 10 where a child can communicate their level of anxiety at the beginning of the day or before a class period or before going into school, so you know where they are emotionally. I actually just uploaded a fantastic emotional and behavior daily check-in to my Teachers Pay Teachers store, where it's got picture emotions where a child can identify what they're feeling that day, if they need to talk to an adult about those feelings, and it will prompt them to pick strategies they can use in order to manage and get through those emotions. So that's a good thing to start your day with or your class with if you know your child is particularly anxious. And I will link that product in the video description. The next thing you want to do, especially if your child is a little bit older, you want to help them build some resiliency and give them some strategies to cope with situations on their own, so you're not always doing it for them. So you can do things like help them be organized, help them be prepared, give them the tools to handle the situations that may or may not occur throughout the day. That just being prepared and organized itself, that's going to help tremendously. I mean, think about you as an adult. I know that I am a lot more calm and confident when I know that I've got it all together. And the last thing is just baby steps. Point out the child's strengths, point out the things that they're good at. Tell them or remind them about situations where they overcame a fear or they got through something difficult. A little bit of confidence will go a long way. You'd be surprised. So really, really talk up, anything in the past that they've done that was great. Build that confidence in them. I hope this video gave y'all a little more insight onto what is anxiety in children and children with disabilities and how to help them get through those feelings and emotions. If you do think your child is experiencing some anxiety levels that are out of the ordinary or extremely life-altering type of symptoms, please seek medical guidance. Please take your child to, a therapist or a doctor and have them checked out, because sometimes therapy is going to be your best solution too. So just keep that in mind also. But I'll link everything and other resources I feel that might be helpful to get you and your children through anxiety, and check it out in the Special Magnolia Teachers Pay Teachers store, and be looking for the video coming up, and I'll talk to you guys later.